Oh, baby. What a wild freaking day in the SEC. It started off rough, but you end off strong. That is what matters at the end of the day, guys. LSU finally gets an opening day win. They finally get their first win of the season, the very first opening day win for LSU since 2019. You get to 1-0 for the first time since then. Guys, absolutely massive win for LSU. Massive win for LSU, something that you desperately needed. There were questions about whether this offensive line could hold up against this Clemson front four, which is riddled with talent all across the board, riddled with first-round dudes across the board. You did it. You got over the hump. Brian Kelly, the monkey is off the freaking back. What a day for LSU. We got a lot to talk about, though, tonight as we're recapping everything that happened around SEC land. But nonetheless, guys, we are live. This is the final whistle here on the SEC Live at the Voice of College Football. I am your host, as always, Lucas Hill. Thank you guys for tuning in on what should be a very good episode, ladies and gentlemen. So everybody do us a favor. If you are watching this on YouTube, do me a favor. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Turn on that bell notification so that you are notified every time we go live here. If you are watching us on Twitter, if you're in the Twitter sphere, guys, make sure y'all load up the Twitter. You know what I mean? Make sure you guys get up in here. Let's talk some ball, man. Let's talk about what happened around the SEC because let me just tell you, you need to get your asses up in here and talk some SEC ball. We're about to throw the freaking call-in link in the chats. I've got it in the Twitter now, and I've got it in the YouTube description. Guys, if you're watching us on YouTube, by the way, thank you so much. Tell 5 friends around you that we are live here on SEC Live at the Voice of College Football. So make sure you guys do us a favor. By the way, if you are watching this on Twitter as well, make sure you consider watching us on YouTube. I just posted the YouTube in the Twitter. Make sure you guys think about going on over and watching us on the YouTube. Get more engaged with us there. But guys, we have a lot to break down tonight. We have a lot that needs to be discussed, and I think it needs to be addressed. We're going to go over the biggest games. We're going to go over the most important things that we got to see from over today. And by the way, no final whistle tomorrow. I will be on South Carolina Live, recapping the final SEC game of the weekend as South Carolina gets set to play Virginia Tech next week out at Atlanta. That should be a little fun one. So, guys, do me a favor. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button. We've got a lot to break down. Appreciate you guys being here. All right, yesterday we already talked about Auburn, Alabama. Big game, first game of the week, Texas and Ohio State. Look, all the hype that Arch Manning had going into the game. Arch Manning didn't play his best game. But I say the same for Julian Sayin as well. You didn't get your playmakers the football. You went to the ground game, and you had a little bit of success. C.J. Donaldson carried the football a little bit. Jeremiah Smith, 6 catches for 43. Other than that, really didn't do a whole lot. You know, you never did take a deep shot with Julian Sayin. And you didn't do the same with Arch Manning except for that last part of the drive when you went deep to Parker Livingstone. Guys, the gambles early on for Texas came back to bite you in the ass. Your first drive, you have a turnover on downs when you try to test the teeth of the Ohio State defensive line and you turn it over. CJ Baxter can't pick up 2 yards. Offensive line-wise, they got their ass whipped against Ohio State. Not that it matters because the very next play, the next drive, Ohio State doesn't do a whole lot. Next couple of drives to end the first quarter, punt. Ohio State finally breaks the game open. They go on a very, very good drive. You get Jeremiah Smith involved. I don't think Jeremiah Smith had a reception in the first quarter at all. You had 3 targets to Jeremiah Smith. He caught 1 pass for 6 yards in the first quarter. And one thing that we talked about was that Jeremiah Smith was going to have to get his targets. He was held in check last year in the bowl game. You didn't get the football to him as much because Texas had a pretty unique system that Pete Kwiatkowski used to basically put Jeremiah Smith in double coverage just about every single time. There were a couple plays that he was open down the sideline. That first drive that Ohio State had, when you go to the check down and try to get it on the sidelines on 3rd down, I think they were trying to go to somewhere. Yeah, the 4th and 1 when they tried to go to Max Clark on the slant. Jeremiah Smith's running down the field one-on-one. He's open. He's got a step on the safety. Not that it would matter because neither team was able to move down the field a whole lot until you get to the first drive of the 3rd quarter. Texas, really, really, really good drive. You want to know what you did? You finally mixed it up, and you finally got a balanced game. Trey Wisner run for 6, back-to-back plays. You get to the 41. Arch Manning to DeAndre Moore. Arch Manning run for 15. Trey Wisner for 9. Trey for 2. CJ Baxter for 4. CJ Baxter was back in the game, man. You were feeding him the football early on, and he was getting 4 or 5 yards a carry, but you just went away from him early on. You know, I think overall your run game wasn't that bad. You ran for 166 yards against this Ohio State front 4. Not bad, to be honest with you. So you do that. You don't really get a whole lot. And you get into the red zone now. You get to the Ohio State 11. Boom. 2nd and 1. Dalen McCutcheon gets a first down. Arch Manning run for... You know what you did the next 4 plays? The next 4 plays. Arch Manning run for 5. Arch Manning for 1. CJ Baxter to the 1. And I like the play call from Steve Sarkisian. Going big on big. Loading it up at the line of scrimmage and trying to sneak it in. Just bad execution. Arch should have gone to the right side. Or to the left side of the offensive line. He went to the right, and it cost him. Cost him points, man. So it's going to kill you at the end of the day. That's what's going to eventually lead to you. In other words, guys, that's what it looks like when you have a young quarterback at the helm. Guys, Arch Manning is entering his 4th start of his career. And his first official start full-time as a starter, going up against a defense like that, you should have known he was going to struggle. I will put part of the blame on Sark because, in my opinion, he didn't call a great game. Let's just be real. Did not call a great game. So you miss out on points, but your defense doesn't get you a stop and they have to punt the football. You get the football at midfield, really good field position. Boom, you start off with a holding penalty. And then the very next play, like 2 plays after that holding penalty, Arch throws a pick to Jermaine Matthews. It was a really bad throw. Should not have thrown that ball. And I saw that a lot throughout the day. Arch would throw it when the window was about to be this. And as soon as he released it, the window would close on him. It's just in an instant, guys. Killed your drive. Killed your momentum. Killed any chance of you getting points. Maybe making it a game. Now, we can go back and say, well, Texas should have taken 3 at the goal line. Guys, it's 4th and goal from the 1. I don't dislike the decision, but I do say this. If you're Sark, you got to play. Hey, in a game that was like this, knowing how your offense had been up to that point and knowing that your defense had been pretty good keeping Ohio State in check, take the points. Don't get greedy. Don't take chances like that. That's what gets you beat. So you have a bad play, and then Ohio State responds. You get Jeremiah Smith the football a little bit. C.J. Donaldson gets involved in the game, which probably should have gotten him more involved than he had been. But ended up with 75 yards of total offense. So not necessarily a bad night for him, but this offensive line, man. I mean, both sides of the line of scrimmage struggled on their offensive lines. I think Texas overall didn't do a bad job of putting pressure on Julian Sayin, and I say the same for Ohio State. But when it mattered most, Ohio State took advantage of Texas's mistakes. Guys, Texas turned the football over 3 times if you count the turnover on downs. And I think all of your points came off of that drive. Sorry, just the 1 touchdown came off of that drive. But it did kill momentum. Momentum that could have swung to Texas's side. So, Julian Sayin throws a beautiful pass to Carnell Tate for 40 and a touchdown. That's something that I want to see Julian Sayin work more. Throw those deep balls. Guys, you had some really, really good plays if you're Ohio State. You should be really impressed so far with what Julian Sayin was able to do. I mean, it's incredible to me what this offense can do with a young quarterback. Anything is possible. Now Texas has to try and get back into it. You're driving down the field. You have a pretty good drive. Initially, you think a pass gets intercepted. It gets overturned because the ball falls to the ground, hits the turf before you maintain control. By the way, we'll get to officiating today because around the SEC, it was pretty bad. It was pretty pitiful, in my opinion. You get a pass to Jack Indries. You're inside the 10-yard line again. So on 3rd and 3, you have a throw that you try to get to Ryan Wingo. That's basically in the dirt. Poor throw by Arch. Then you try to go to the end zone. 4th and 3, you go to the back corner of the end zone for Parker Livingstone. Meanwhile, Ryan Wingo is running free across the middle of the field, wide freaking open. You hit him. That's a touchdown. Guys, Arch Manning just looked at his number 1 guy and followed him the rest of the way across the field. That's what got you beat. And that's what's going to continue to get you beat if you don't change anything. Nonetheless, defense steps up, gets you off the field. So here comes Texas. You finally get decent field position at the 40. You get a big play to Ryan Wingo. Trey Wisner gets another big play. Then you finally hit it. Big play out to Parker Livingstone. He gets into the end zone, gets 6. 7-14. You force Ohio State to punt. Now it's your turn. 2:26 in the game. You get to midfield. You get a big play to Jack Endries. You try to go back to Jack Endries again. And you basically lost the battle up front. The battle up front is what got you beat at the end of the day. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. By the way, call-in line is open right now, 843-350-2534, 843-350-2534. Excited to hear you guys come on here and talk some SEC ball with us tonight. But defense couldn't get you a stop. Well, excuse me. Offense couldn't move the football down the field, guys. That's the bottom line if you're Texas. And you proved to everybody, guys, you are a very overhyped team. I thought, and I told you going into this one, in the shoe, I thought Julian Sayin had more weapons compared to what Texas has. You lost a lot up front, and we talked a lot with Zay Collier when we previewed this game in our Texas preview. You can go back and watch it. We said that it was going to be a trench warfare. It did end up becoming that, just not in your favor. You got to find an identity on offense, man. Defensively, did really good. Not a bad job. You held Ohio State to 203 yards of offense. Problem is that you had 3 turnovers. They took advantage of it. You didn't. You couldn't get anything going in the red zone. You pissed down your leg when you got in there. You got cute in the red zone. Couldn't finish drives. That's what got you beat. Let's go on over to our next game that I think needs worth noting. But before we get to that, I do want to kind of briefly talk about a game that kind of shocked me today. Actually, 2 that pretty much shocked me. First of all, Tennessee and Syracuse. This was a game I thought that Tennessee was going to go in. I didn't have the most trust in Joey Aguilar. But guys, your offense came in, put up over 450 yards of total offense, and you beat the hell out of Syracuse. Your defense did a really good job of forcing the issue. You got to Steve Angeli. You sacked him 5 times. Arian Carter, who's going to be a dog, had a big game. Josh Josephs, who's going to be a monster out at DN, who's going to fill in that James Pierce Jr. role, had a great game. Got him a sack today. Jalen McMurray had a great game. Tyree Weathersby, your returning starter from last year. A guy, or not a returning starter, but a guy that many people have, when we talked with John Dunn earlier near the end of July, he was high on him to start the season. And I think people looked at him in camp as a potential guy that could break out this upcoming season. I don't disagree with him. Guys, he's a big framed guy. And the guy is a freaking dude in the middle of the field. He can make some big plays when it's needed most. So, overall, big win for Tennessee going to Atlanta and dominating. Not just winning, but dominating against Syracuse. Forced a lot of pressure on Steve Angeli. Thought you did really well, man. Forced some turnovers. You held them in check on the offensive line, and you took advantage of your opportunities in the red zone. Guys, that's what's going to win you games. So now, I feel a lot better about Tennessee in 2 weeks when you play Georgia. Anything can happen, man. I'm really excited to see what Tennessee has to offer. Tim Banks in this defense is going to be just fine. Now that I look at that game and I see what type of look that you got, guys, you're going to be A-okay on the defensive front. I have no worries there whatsoever. I think Tennessee is going to continue to dominate in the middle. How about Mississippi State? A lot of people had them on upset alert going up against Southern Miss. And by the way, guys, Southern Miss is not a team to snuff at. And everybody's going to say, well, it's just a a Sun Belt program. What's so special about them? Guys, Charlie Huff brought along a lot of dudes from Marshall on over to Southern Miss. And for a while, man, I think Southern Miss was considered a team that, man, you look at where this game is, the pressure that's on Mississippi State right now to win and to win now. Tell you what, they did a really damn good job of bringing guys over and basically coming over and making a statement in the Sun Belt. They just couldn't prove it on the field. Mississippi State had a really good game plan going into this one. I think Jeff Levy took advantage of it. I think he heard the news. Didn't look all that great going into the half. It was 13-10, but then second half just belonged to the run game of Mississippi State. That's when you see guys like Fluff Bothwell and Devon Booth really take over, which I expected this to happen. 3 total touchdowns between the two, ran for 188 yards. Blake Shapen looked really good in his first start back from injury. I think he did really good with what you got in the portal as a whole. Guys, I'm really excited to see what this Mississippi State offense is going to look like. I think you did well overall. You did just enough on defense to pretty much shut down Southern Miss's threat of an upset on you. So, big win for Mississippi State. You start off 1-0 in the season. Now you got to go. Now you got Arizona State coming into town next week. I don't expect you to win this one, but what I want to see from Mississippi State is how this running back room is going to look this time next week. I do expect Devon Booth to be back in the backfield. I think he's going to take the majority of your carries. I think he's going to do an excellent job in the backfield. And I think at the end of the day, he's going to be your number one guy. Him and Fluff Bothwell are going to be two of the best backs that Mississippi State has to offer at the end of the day when it's all said and done. Oklahoma with John Mateer's first game. A lot of people weren't really sure of what to look at whenever it came to this program. And all he did was go 30 of 37 for 392. My dark horse Heisman contender, which a lot of people better be looking out for him, man. I'm telling you, they're going to be a really, really damn good program. Guess who's coming to town next week? You get a little tune-up game to get ready for Bryce Underwood and the Oklahoma and the Michigan Wolverines. John Mateer had 400 yards of total offense by himself. We expected this to happen. Deion Burks, Jaron Kanak, Keontez Lewis, all were involved in this offense like we predicted they would, and it's another big win for Oklahoma. Didn't expect this one to get close. I figured that you would open it up a little bit if you were Brent Venables in this, or excuse me, what's the daggum frickin' offensive coordinator's name? Ben something. Ben Arbuckle, I'm sorry. But you got Ben Arbuckle to open it up a little bit. Don't expose too much, but you did just enough to give yourself a good look in what you can expect next week, as it's a big one next week, man. Definitely could set the tone early for both seasons. And I think the winner of this next game, schedule's looking very favorable for you, both of which could be 9, maybe 10-win threats at the end of the day. Let's get to Texas A&M and UTSA, where it was a struggle early on, guys. Guys, UTSA looked really, really competitive early on. You know, how about Owen McCown, who did he play all that great? No. But UTSA and Jeff Traylor just have every now and then they have a season or two where they are ultra competitive throughout the season. And I think that's what people need to look out for when it comes to this UTSA program. Guys, they don't understand that this is a G6 that doesn't need to be really treated lightly. Guys, it was 21-17 in the middle of the third quarter until you finally pulled away from them. Marcel Reed, man, looked good through the air. 22 of 34, 289 and 4 scores. Final, I think he's starting to take that label off that he's a running back in a quarterback's body. Started to look really solid through the air. Man, anything's possible at this point in time, knowing the type of athlete that he can be. Guys, I'm really excited to see what Marcel Reed is going to bring to that Oklahoma, or not, or to that Texas A&M offense. I think Colin Klein finally has him in a good position. But, man, that Texas A&M front four got their ass whipped up front. Robert Henry popped off. 11 yards a carry is what he averaged today. 11 yards a freaking carry. Guys, does that cause concern for the front four? I mean, I know that you had to replace a lot. Guys, 3 draft picks on that front four. That's hard to replace. But I think overall, you should be a little bit concerned whenever it comes to this A&M front four, which a lot of people were hyping up to be this great thing that people need to look out for. Didn't look that great. Maury Daniels didn't get a lot of carries. Le'Veon Moss didn't get a lot of carries. Ruben Owens, only 5 carries throughout the game. But did see a little bit of Casey Concepcion and what he can bring to the table. 3 receptions for 72 and a touchdown. Mario Craver, not a bad game from him himself. 8 receptions for 122. Transfer from Mississippi State. Didn't do all that bad last year, or didn't do all that bad this year. So looks to make an early impact for the Aggies, which I do expect him to do so later on in the season. So they're going to utilize the hell out of these guys. They're going to be able to find an answer in this receiving core. They don't really have a solid number one right now because of how deep that receiving core can be. When we talk about Amari Niblack, who can show out, and sometimes Ashton Bethel Roman, who can be dangerous in the slot, Mario Craver, of course, and obviously Casey Concepcion, who can have his moments as well. Texas A&M, though, has got a lot of questions, man. We'll see what happens in 2 weeks when they go to South Bend trying to face off against them. Kentucky, they got, dude, I had Kentucky on upset alert against a MAC, but again, didn't expect a whole lot from Zach Calzada. I was right. But tough break for Tucker Gleason and company. Tucker Gleason had a pretty good game, just in my opinion. 23 of 40, 270, a touchdown and an interception. Not a bad little game that he had, but Junior Vandeross was going to be a problem, and I expected him to. You did. 7 kept carries for 88. But the rushing game of Kentucky was the big storyline for today. Dante Dowdle and Seth McGowan both dominated on the ground tonight. And I think it was necessary that you did. I think it was necessary that you got a solid 1-2 punch with McGowan, who's coming from New Mexico State, and Dante Dowdle, who's coming from Oregon and Nebraska. So 2 guys that you got to have a 1-2 punch at the end of the day. And I think those 2 guys are going to be the difference for you. You just got to get the passing game involved. So I think it's obvious that I don't think that it's necessarily a coordinator issue, because you drew up decent plays throughout the day against this front four, against this Toledo defense. I think overall it was just how bad you've been overall with quarterback play. And it's been, quarterback play's just been very, very bad. It's been really bad at times, guys. I mean, you got to be able to find an answer offensively, whether it be through the portal, whether it be through whatever it is, guys. I mean, you just got to find you an answer. And you got to find a way that you can finally get effective whenever it comes to this program. So, guys, anything can happen. So, you better get ready. You better get ready for a pretty interesting season. Now we got to get to the two most important games of the night. But before we do that, let's hear a little bit from our friends at Amazon, and we'll get into some more questions and calls from you guys. Remember, open phone line, 843-350-2534, 843-350-2534. Also want to thank our friends at the Voice of College Football Shop. Use that promo code VOC at Big Gamecocks to get yourself a nice little discount. So here's Mark, first of all, with more regarding Amazon.
You can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link, and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact, just like whatever link you use right now. No difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the Voice of College Football.
All right. I think we all know where we're going with this one. Let's talk about Florida State and Alabama. Let's talk about this. You know, if I were to tell you, and if you, well, actually, let me just say this. If you were to tell me that Florida State, with a lot of pressure on Mike Norvell, would go into Tallahassee and not just beat Bama, but whip their ass, I'd have thought you were crazy. I would have really, really thought you were crazy. Because there is no way that you could have convinced me that that was the case. Wow. Oh, man. First drive for Bama. Beautiful. 17 plays, 75 yards, 8 minutes, 50 seconds off the clock. By the way, you held the football for the first quarter. You held the football your first drive, 8 minutes and 50 freaking seconds. Let me repeat that, 8 minutes and 50 seconds. In total, you held it for just about 12 minutes in the first quarter. You know what the time of possession was for you as a whole? 29 minutes and 38 seconds. So if we do guys, you held the football the rest of the way for about 17 minutes. 17 and a half minutes of ball control through the rest of the game after the first quarter. By the way, that drive ended in a missed field goal. You get inside the red zone. You have a weird pass. You try to throw, I think it was either a screen or something else. So you go from the Florida State 20, then you end up getting backed up because Ty Simpson gets freaking demolished by Demonte Diggs, which, by the way, That Alabama front five thought that was a Joe Moore award-winning offensive line. They got their ass beat. Connor Talty misses a field goal. That's been an Achilles heel for Bama ever since the start of the Nick Saban era. You know what Florida State did there off the missed field goal? They go 8 plays and 65 yards in just under 4 minutes. And Micaiah Danzy runs for a 32-yard touchdown. Thomas Castellanos, the first 2 damn drives, does this. Pass to Deuce Robinson, run for 12. Pass for 4. Deep play to Squirrel White, the Tennessee transfer, for 40. Run for a 9-yard touchdown. Guys, Alabama could not contain Thomas Castellanos to save their freaking life. That's the truth. That's the truth. And then the very next drive, they're driving down the field again, but you got to settle for 3. But still, another really, really, really good drive. Let me tell you what they did in majority of those first 2 drives. Florida State converts a 3rd and 5. You get 3rd and 11. You convert there. 3rd and 5. You convert there. 3rd and 4. You convert there. You were 4 for 4 on your first 4 third downs. And Alabama can't get off the field. Tim Keenan was hurt. Oh, Tim Keenan was hurt. Oh, who cares? It's one freaking guy. Tim Keenan wouldn't have been able to shut down that freaking front 5 that Florida State had. You finally get Ryan Williams involved a little bit. But look, I'll give Ty Simpson credit where credit is due. Ty Simpson was a tough dude. He took some shots early on in the game. Actually, it wasn't even early on. Throughout the game, he took some shots. But, I mean, you just looked soft as Charmin toilet paper on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Florida State goes into the half. The freaking momentum is on their damn side. What does Alabama do on their first drive? You finally get them off the field. You force a punt. You get a big play, puts you on the Florida State 41. Boom, Jeremy Bernard, first down. You try to get Ryan Williams the football, and then Ty Simpson has to throw it away on 3rd and 5. Then you try to go for it on 4th and 5. Kevin Riley comes up short. I mean, special teams was going to be an issue, so you really didn't have much of a choice. You were in no man's land. Very next play, 2 plays. Boom, Tommy, I guess he goes by Tommy now. Tommy Castellanos. Jalen Lucas was all over your ass tonight. All over your ass, bro. No pause, by the way. Jalen Lucas, the All-American punt returner or return man from Indiana last year, dominated that game. They had your number. When you got him the football, he was dangerous. I know Tommy Castellanos had nine carries. Nat had 9 completions. Doesn't matter because you freaking dominated. So, Alabama finally gets down the field. You finally get to the Florida State 15. It's 1st and 10. Incomplete to Ryan Williams. Incomplete to Josh Cuevas. Guys, that Florida State back 7 confused the piss out of you the majority of the game. You have a delay of game, puts you back at the 20. and then Ty Simpson gets sacked by Daniel Lyons. Why the hell did Parker Browsford freaking try to even run with the football is beyond me. That was confusing. But I guess they ruled him down, but I don't know, man. But you finally get points. You cut it to a 2-possession game. You get a field goal out of it. So a win is a win at the end of the day. You force Florida State to punt. Okay, we finally got some momentum our way. Doesn't matter. You get sacked by Stephon Thompson. You have a run for 6. But you have to punt the football, but you're able to get a turnover. You get the football on the opposite side of the field. You get a PI on the first play of the game, gets you to the FSU 31. And then you go 1, 2, 3, 4 plays, and you don't do anything with the football. Try to get it to Ryan Williams, and the pass is behind him. You shot yourself in the foot, dude. Multiple opportunities to get yourself back in that game. Fourth quarter, finally, Alabama's defense comes alive. You get a big sack by Keon Sabb. They got a punt. Alabama goes right down the field. Looks like it might be the old Alabama that we're seeing. You're at your own 37. Second play, 27-yard play to Josh Swavis for a first down. Daniel Hill for 3. Kevin Riley runs for 6. Kevin Riley for 6. Jeremy Bernard to the FSU 18. Or to the FSU 12, 6. Then you finally get into the end zone to Rico Scott. 1-possession game now. This is your opportunity. Get off the field and get your defense back the football. You know what you do? Florida State did this. They ran the freaking football down your throat. And you had no answer. Again. You're about to get off the field, and then Domani Jackson wants to stand over freaking Tommy Castellanos and run his mouth and do some extracurriculars. Killed your drive. Killed your momentum. You're about to get off the field. Shut up and go back to the freaking huddle. You screwed yourself right then and there. That's where you lost the game, because Alabama is an undisciplined program. Right now, you don't want to hear it. Alabama is an undisciplined program. When you do stupid crap like that, with what we saw last year after the Vanderbilt game, guys, you are an undisciplined program. You've got Ryan Williams walking into the freaking stadium with an anxiety doll. Oh, man. All the high expectations I have for this program, potentially winning the SEC, knowing that you had a great roster that surrounds you, and you are just steadily pissing it all down the toilet. Then Gavin Sawchuk just freaking owns you at the line of scrimmage. 14-yard touchdown, and then you lost the game from there. Ty Simpson tried running for 9. Doesn't do anything. Then the very last possession, you run out the clock. Florida State with a massive opening win. Massive win for Florida State. Florida State went out, ran the football 49 times, went into the teeth of that Alabama defense and whipped their ass. There's no other words that can describe what happened. You beat their ass from start to finish. You owned the line of scrimmage. You dominated in the trenches. and you were able to put pressure on Ty Simpson pretty much after every play after the first drive. Massive opening win for Florida State. If you're Kane Womack and this defensive staff, I'm doing soul searching. I'm doing some real soul searching in that locker room. Who are my guys? Who are the ones I have to look up to? Who are the ones that I got to have leading my locker room? Because right now, you don't have them. You are a soft program. I never would have thought I'd have to say that about Alabama. But you looked soft up front. You looked really, really, really bad. That's frustrating. And everybody's going to say, well, it's all right. Oh, no, we're going to be all right. You better do some freaking soul searching in that defensive meeting room come Monday. If not Monday, when you get back off the freaking bus and when you get back to Tuscaloosa, you better do some real soul searching and you better find some men in that freaking locker room. You don't have them right now. You don't have leaders. Deontay Lawson, where the hell were you? LT Overton, where the hell were you? I don't want to hear that Tim Keenan was out. And look, maybe Tim Keenan would have provided a spark. Maybe that would have been the case. Because it didn't matter that you didn't have one of your top defensive linemen and one of your top offensive linemen. You were getting your ass whipped with Caden Proctor, who's probably who was expected to be the number 1 draft pick this upcoming season, this upcoming draft. Not Jaden Roberts, Parker Brailsford got his ass whipped up front. That's the bottom line, guys. There's no other way that I have to describe it. So whether you want me to say that or not, that's the bottom line, and that's the truth. That's the truth when we talk about this Alabama program. This will be fun when I release my freaking preseason, when I release my power rankings come this time tomorrow. Man, you got your ass whipped up front. You really did. That's bad. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, it was a good night to end for the SEC though, because LSU got the monkey off their back. Finally. After 5 straight years. The COVID year coming off of the national championship. The Sissy Blue Shirt game in 21. First year with BK. The second time you play Florida State with 3 first-round draft picks and a Heisman Trophy winner in Jaden Daniels, Brian Thomas, and Malik Neighbors. Last year, when there was a young team that, with a new defensive coordinator, was expected to make leaps and bounds, which they did, and you have the pounding of the fist game, guess what? You went into Death Valley, South Carolina. You came out with a massive victory. LSU may end up being number 6 in the polls tomorrow. I expect that to happen. I think most of the college football didn't do bad today. SEC got their stuff pushed in a little bit today. I'll just be honest with you. Rough day for the SEC. We gotta be real with ourselves when we say this, and we gotta take one on the chin. Ish hit the fan for the SEC. Texas got their ass whipped. Alabama got their ass whipped. We'll see what happens tomorrow with South Carolina, but we'll see, man. I mean, there's a lot of football still left to play, but nonetheless, big time play that LSU got. Look, didn't start off pretty. You start off with a pretty good drive. Caden Durham run for 24. You get a first down. You got Bauer Sharp involved in the offense a little bit, which I expected you to do. And then the next 4 plays, you pretty much kind of get anemic on the offensive side of the ball and you get conservative. I feel like every time LSU gets on the opposite side of the field, they get so dadgum conservative. And look, let's be honest. Brian Kelly has a say in that as well. He does. We can deny it all we want. Guys, he has a freaking say in this. I mean, that was it's a rough way to freaking put it in perspective, but that's the truth. So Texas is probably going to fall to at least 4 or 5. Penn State could be number 1 tomorrow. Maybe Ohio State. Georgia will move up to 3 at least. I think Texas will stay around 4 or 5. I think Notre Dame might jump to 4. Texas maybe at 5. Oregon at 6. I think LSU moving at 7. Alabama may end up dropping to possibly 15 or 16. Where do you guys have Alabama if you're in the chat right now? We got a couple of you guys on YouTube, which, by the way, make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what y'all think about these live shows after the final whistle. I'm really liking these little shows, man. I really like getting to break down all of what down in the SEC for you. But I think it's pretty obvious to me now where you are with the offense. Caden Durham's your number 1 guy. I think Caleb Jackson eventually is going to enter the portal. I don't expect him to stay in Baton Rouge. I thought he should have entered last year. I was kind of shocked that he didn't because I understand you want to add depth, but, I mean, let's just be honest. Didn't look good, man, because Caden Durham went 17 carries for 74. You got Xavion Thomas involved. Harlem Berry made a little bit of an appearance. I didn't expect him to even appear in the game, but you rotated backs consistently. Juwan Johnson got in the game a little bit, which I was kind of not surprised that he was taking snaps at running back because of the depth that you have and what you kind of lost in the backfield now that JT Lindsey is no longer around because of that situation that's ongoing. Chris Helton had just 1 reception tonight, which with the depth that you have at receiver, with Aaron Anderson that's getting involved, with Barry and Brown that got involved a lot. Guys, Barry and Brown, we'll get to the call eventually. Well, let's not get too ahead of ourselves, but LSU's defense came out and busted Clemson in the freaking mouth. Oh my gosh. If you were to tell me at the end of the day that LSU would have held Clemson to 251 yards of offense, I'd have thought you were crazy. I'm being for real. And the fact that you got after K. Klubnik most of the game, you got him twice and you continue to put pressure on him, that was impressive. Realistically, you should have had maybe 6 sacks on the night because you got guys like free safeties. You had freaking Whit Weeks. You had Jack Pyburn. You had Harold Perkins that was all over the freaking field tonight. Welcome back, Harold Perkins from injury. Welcome back, Whit Weeks from the offseason coming off of that injury in the bowl game. Guys, you got a lot of dudes that you can trust. Don McKinley was dominant in the middle. Jordan, you had guys like Tamarcus Cooley, AJ Halsey, Mansour Delane. DBU, in my opinion, could be back. Don't quote me on it though, but I do have an opinion that they could be very much so back.
You better be very disciplined.
So
Aaron Anderson, screen goes for 39.
So we'll see, man. I mean, anything can happen. Anything will be possible in the next few weeks, especially once you get ready to play. I think you got Ole Miss in a couple weeks. No, you got Florida in 2 weeks, actually. Excuse me. But next drive, Bauer Sharp would fumble the football, which kind of sucked. But again, your defense again, was phenomenal. You want to know what their drives look like? First half, punt, field goal, punt, touchdown, and a half. Majority of the time, LSU did have opportunities to get off the field, but again, you'll take points whenever you can get them. That first drive probably should have gotten some left points on the board, in my opinion. Took a bad sack by Will Helt on the second down whenever you were driving down the field. Then Clemson responds. They go right down the field. You know what they did? They convert a 3rd and 5. They convert a 4th and 2, They get you inside the red zone, which, by the way, I'm still kind of PO'd about the rub route that they ran. That was pretty clear to me that was not. That I was shocked that wasn't either a block in the back or even a freaking illegal block or an illegal pick. That should have been called a pick. Let's just be real with you. And then on 4th and goal, that's just great effort by Adam Randall. I'm not going to even knock on him for that. The drive before you go to the half. Oh, I bet that frustrated the TT out of a lot of LSU fans because you looked really, really good. 10-yard run for Garrett. Guys, Garrett Nussmeier kept a freaking football, and he ran with it and got a freaking first down. Can you believe it? On a zone read, he kept the football and got a first down and dove for a first down. Garrett Nussmeier, throw to Barian Brown. You targeted Barian Brown 1, 2, 3. I thought he got 4 touches on that drive alone. It must have been just 3, but regardless of that, you would have a 10-yard run, a 14-yard completion to Barian Brown, 10 yards to Caden Durham out the backfield. Bauer Sharp for Ford. Xavion Thomas on a freaking gadget play. How about Joe Sloan going into the bag of tricks on a pop, on a freaking reverse throw to Aaron Anderson and gets a first down. Barian Brown gets 7. 3rd and 2. Incomplete to Aaron Anderson. You come out of the timeout and you decide to go for it and try to pick up the first down, which, by the way, first half-wise, communication was pretty bad. Guys, Garrett was coming off the field after the timeout. He was screaming. He was pissed. I wouldn't have blamed him. They wanted to go tempo and get this Clemson defense off their heels. They should not have taken a timeout there. I disagreed with it with about 15 seconds before the half. And then you would come out after the timeout. You would freaking just piss down your leg. You have a screen out to Chris Hilton. He ends up getting tackled for a loss of 1. So that's the first half. We're going to take our first caller of the day. And would you know it? He is from Georgia. Or actually, I think he's around the Ohio area, but he's a Georgia and Ohio State fan. You've seen him before. You love him. It's Caden the Diesel Freak. Caden, good evening, good sir. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well, good sir. You know what? My friends down in Georgia are happy. They beat Marshall in week 1, and they're partying down there and happy. So I got to give them credit. Bama lost, so I'm happy. And I know Jeffrey and Jackson will be crying over Twitter about losing to Florida State. So I'm not going to complain. Although my score prediction for Ohio State, Texas was a little off, but my boys got the job done. So
What do you think of the SEC
complain.
action around today?
Well, first of all, Bama losing to Florida State. Oh, that was making me laugh.
I mean, you got to have a heart-to-heart if you're Kane Womack with that defensive staff and your defensive personnel. You got to find leaders.
No,
You cannot be going into a freaking game with
no. Here's the thing,
on
Lucas.
the front four, and everybody's going to complain about LT over or not LT Overton, whoever it was that was missing out in the front four. I'm drawing a blank, but anyways, you're missing key pieces on that front four. I don't want to hear it. You would have gotten your ass whipped up front anyways. You are a
Here's my
soft
thing.
program at this point.
Here's my thing, Lucas. Alabama's going 8-4, 7-5 this season. I said it before, and I won't say it again. Call me stupid, but I don't care.
I mean, after today, I wouldn't be shocked, but
Caleb DeBoer is so full of shit.
what do you mean?
Like, if he cannot win the games this season, his roster is so full of shit. They literally are going to go 7-5, 8-4.
Keenan is who I'm thinking of, by the way. Look, you got the next two games. You play ULM and then Wisconsin. You got to regroup. You got to find an answer on the defensive side of the ball because 3 weeks from now, actually really a month from now, when you go play Georgia, you better be ready going into that environment. Because Georgia can run the freaking football. If you struggled this bad with Tommy Castellanos, who, by the way, had almost 250 yards by himself, good luck playing Gunnar Stockton, who just ran right over Marshall's defense. I know it was just Marshall, but God, Gunnar Stockton looked damn good for his first start.
Well, also, Georgia's defense was eating, so Alabama's about to walk into hell. I said Alabama's about to walk into hell in the South when they go to Athens, Georgia. So,
I mean, if Alabama start this season 2-2, that's a rough way to start. I think that'd be the first time you get out of the month of September at 500. Something I don't think they've done in a hot minute. I think since Saban's first
2007.
7 was the first year they were 500 out of September.
Yep.
Oh shoot, I didn't realize it was that long. I figured it was Saban's first year.
It was Saban's first year.
You get out of freaking September 500, but like we mentioned already, you got to play mobile quarterbacks. And by the way, mobile quarterbacks were the story of this weekend. When you saw what Jackson Arnold did against Baylor, you saw what Gunnar Stockton did. You saw a little bit of what who am I thinking off the top of my head? What a little bit of, I mean, Arch Manning didn't really do it a lot, but I mean, you saw some flash of him take off. John Mateer had over 400 yards of offense by himself. DJ Lagway did well in the opening game. Not to mention,
I'll say this.
October 25th, when you go to Willie B and you play Lenore Sellers and the South Carolina Gamecocks, which I was hearing from national media, oh, well, South Carolina's front five is not going to be able to hang with Alabama's front four. Well, from the looks of what we saw today, I mean, South Carolina is a much more talented program compared to what Florida State has been.
True. But I will say the Ohio State-Texas game, Ohio State's defense was locking down Arch Manning pretty good. And he's the first Manning to play in Ohio Stadium, and he's 0-1 in Ohio Stadium. Their family is 0-1 in the big house of the Big Ten, Ohio Stadium.
I mean,
That's
to be fair with Arch Manning, here's a kid that's going into his first big boy start of his career. I know he had one SEC start last year against Mississippi State, but I mean, other than that, that's really about it.
Hold on, Lucas.
We knew Arch was going to struggle going into this one. I mean, you're going up against one of the best secondaries in college football, led by Caleb Downs, who's going to be one of the best players on the defensive side in college football. He could be my number one defensive player that's getting taken off the board, top 5 pick for sure. But I think overall you knew that he was going to struggle, and I think they should have went back to the ground game to get him comfortable. Guys like Trey Wisner, guys like CJ Baxter that were carrying the football early on, they seemed to disappear because it seemed like Sark wanted to play the time of possession game and get cute in the red zone like he has been in big game after big game after big game, and he has failed to continue to produce at a high level. Name one big win that Sark has had since you beat Bama in 23. I can't name one. Clemson, you could say, sure. Other than that, no. You can't. Don't tell me that you can compete at a high level if you can't get a win on the road against a top caliber program. Go
And
ahead.
speaking of OSU's defense, our entire defensive unit was Keating, Texas that day. Now Arch Manning's going home with a little bit of extra bruising and a whole lot more of pain in his body. But you know what? That's what happens when you run your mouth for 2 weeks on social media claiming that y'all are going to beat us at home.
Who was
Yeah,
running their
right.
mouth?
Oh, Texas.
Texas fans or Arch Manning?
Texas fans and their golden boy Arch Manning.
I don't ever remember seeing Arch Manning talking crap. Now, the only thing I will say is when I saw Colin Simmons post something about Julian Sand, and I'm not saying Julian Sand did a whole lot, but I think at the end of the day, the big moral of the story is that Ohio State was able to take advantage of the mistakes that Texas made. You turned it over 3 times if you include the 2 turnover on downs. Ohio State was able to capitalize off of that.
It's not just the mistakes that they made. We capitalized the 100% of the game. We played 60 minutes of no excuse football. Hell, Georgia, don't y'all play Georgia this year?
Not South Carolina.
You guys are lucky
Not
that
really,
y'all don't
but
play
okay.
Georgia. Because if y'all play Georgia this year, you guys will not stand a chance against the Dogs.
I mean, we'll see.
Y'all will get barbecued, smoked, cooked, and absolute wrecked.
That has nothing to do with anything off a barbecue, with including wreck, but I get what you're saying.
No, because Georgia's defense pretty much did that entire game, plus Gunnar Stockton. They pretty much wrecked Marshall, and they pretty much just told the SEC that they're coming after everybody in the SEC until they go.
And Marshall is one of the worst teams in the Sun Belt. Because, most of their stuff was gutted once Charlie Huff made the move to Southern Miss. I understand what you're getting at, and knowing that it's another college program that you're able to get a tune-up game on. And I know Gunnar Stockton looked good, and I know that this Georgia offense looked good. I'm not hating on that fact at all. But what I am getting at is that once you get into real-time SEC football, and once you get into the conference schedule, that's a different gauntlet, man. We're going to really see what Georgia is this year because am I still skeptical about Gunnar Stockton? Yes. I want to see him against an actual SEC team, against an actual SEC defense, and let's see how he does, man. I want to see him run the football effectively and bring out that extra dual threat capability that he can put on full display in this Mike Bobo offense, something that Mike Bobo hadn't been really accustomed to majority of his career.
No, I get your point, Lucas, but here's my thing. Georgia don't have to wait till SEC scheduling because I think it's in the next week that they play Tennessee or Florida.
I thought they had another week of a BS game before they played Tennessee.
But I'll say this. When they play Tennessee, it is not going to be good for Tennessee Vols fans. It is going to be hell on earth for them, and Georgia's going to bring hell with them. And they're going to beat the absolute living hell out of Tennessee, and I guarantee you.
You've been relatively calm tonight. You good, bro?
Lucas, I am absolutely fine, dude. I'm just confident.
I can tell. Like you are very, very calm tonight compared to what you have been in the past. Like when you've called into the show before, because you've gone on a tangent before. You've been unbelievably calm, and I'd be impressed, man. Hey, it might just be because you got your 2 favorite programs that just won in Georgia and Ohio State. So, hey, kudos to you.
Or maybe perhaps that I just maybe toned it down because that I just watched 2 wins and Jackson Johnson's boys in the Crimson and White just lost to a very terrible Florida State team, and I'm laughing about it. And I know Jackson's gonna be crying and moaning and complaining about it. Hell, he's probably on Twitter, probably complaining about it right now.
I haven't seen Jackson post anything on Twitter about it, but I mean, they were on the post. I don't even know if you watched the post game over at
I watched it a
Alabama.
bit, but I could tell, I could tell in his eyes, it hurt him. It hurt him so bad.
You about to get in this selfie, Caden?
Thanks for the free selfie.
Yeah. But
I will say,
let's go
in
into
the
your
word,
boy.
in the words of Ian McDermott, everything is proceeding as I have foreseen. And I told Jackson that Alabama's downfall is to come, and well, he did not listen to me, yet he ignored me. Well, that fool is about to learn a hard lesson in karma.
Oh my gosh, a hard lesson in karma now. What is the karma?
That because he told me that Alabama wasn't going to lose to Florida State. He said Caleb DeBoer was going to help bring Alabama back to its glory days. All his fans on Twitter were blowing up his comments. And I mean, they are just delusional and dumb. Oh my freaking Lord. And I told him Alabama's downfall was soon. Well, guess what? This is the beginning of the downfall of Alabama.
What's the
So,
beginning of the downfall?
Alabama, they're going 8-4-7-5 this year. I told him that specifically.
Hey, I mean, y'all should have placed a bet on it. I mean,
And in the
anything can happen
words
at the end of
of
the
my
year.
teacher, and in the words of my wise teacher, peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken.
Caden, God dog, bro. God dog, you trying to hit a nerve up in here. Good night.
Well, my
Caden,
passion for the game of football has allowed me to understand the game through the strength I learned of knowing how to harness my energy,
I might need
and through
Jackson to call into the show. Not even going to lie to you.
and through victory. My victory is winning in high school football.
Oh, high school football? Okay.
My chains
Yeah.
of being mentally controlled are broken, and I am the person about who I am today.
No. All right. I mean, hey, ain't nothing wrong with that, I'd say.
As my teacher says, peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. Quote it.
You about to make me cry now, bro. Like, God, dog. I mean, Jesus, you trying to hit a nerve tonight.
I'm not trying to hit no nerves tonight. I'm just
You just
being me.
you just in like this emo somber mood tonight.
Well, I tell people, I warned Jackson to not flip the switch in my mental capacity. Well, unfortunately, your friend has flipped my switch.
All right.
So he gets the dark side of me tonight.
Tonight?
Oh, and for the next week, he's really about to receive hell.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man.
He unleashed it on himself, so it's his fault.
I mean, anything can happen at this point, man. Hey, Caden, we appreciate you. We appreciate you calling into the show, man. You hope you have a great night, man. We're gonna get the rest of this show knocked out. We're gonna get up out of here. We'll catch you sometime tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll be live following South Carolina and Virginia Tech. We're gonna break all that down on South Carolina at the Voice of College Football. Caden, we will see you later, brother. Have a great rest of the night. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, go Bucks, and we'll see you later, good friend.
And that was Caden the Diesel Freak, of course. You know, it's nothing. Always fun to have Caden around, man. I mean, he's always bringing some. He's much calmer tonight than he has been in times before. You know, if perfect timing is not a freaking woman, guess who's on the show right now? You know, I said that I said that he might need to come on the show. So you know what? He's still backstage. I mean, come on, Caden. Just speak your piece. You're muted, Jackson.
What?
There you go. I got you now. Caden, speak your piece.
What's up, Caden?
Is Caden even on? Well, I guess Caden might not be on. Jackson, what's up, man?
Not much. It's just been a wild day in all of college football. Lee Corso's final headgear pick on College Game Day. The Crimson Tide lost their first season opener in all of college football since 2001 against UCLA. And LSU finally got a big win in the season opener. It's finger.
Hey, man, you got to hit. If you a Baton Rouge dude, you just don't know the feeling, bro. LSU, I mean, it's about time that LSU finally got this opening win. But, I mean, at times, though, I think the same thing that has happened before is continuing to plague Brian Kelly and the staff, is playing conservatively most of the time on offense. You're moving the football down the field early on. You don't take your deep shots down the field. You don't really play to win. I love this super great quote that Blaine Crane once said. You pull out the driver and you try to lay it on the green. Or not the driver. You lay down the iron and you try to lay it on the green and just play conservative. But the others, they'll get out the driver, and they'll smoke that son of a gun and try to make it land in the hole. That's exactly what it looked like early on once again for LSU. It would have been the same story last year. I kept picturing in the last 5 minutes, I was like, something's going to happen in the last few minutes of this game. But hey, give LSU's defense credit. That back seven, freaking hell of a game. Mansour Delane, dog. PJ Woodland stepped up big time. 3-star coming from from Mississippi, stepped up in big situations. Came off a corner blitz, perfect play design from Blake Baker.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, like Texas, like we saw today, it was a scoreless game for them until fourth quarter, basically. And there were like some people just throwing the baby out with the bathwater on Arch Manning. You're just like, oh, he's not great. He's nothing like his uncles, and he's nothing like his grandfather. Here's the thing: it's only his first game, not his 21st game. Like, good.
I mean, it's only his fourth real start of his career. Well, really only his third, because he came in after the second or third drive that Texas had last year in the UTSA game, and then started the ULM and the Mississippi State game. This is his first real taste of big boy football. And I expected him to not do that great. And credit to where credit is due, Ohio State's defense stepped up. Their back seven, one of the best in college football. Really showed out day in and day out. Took away deep plays that Arch wanted to get on.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, it's like I think, you know, it's important not to really throw the baby out with the bathwater or throw the cart in before the horse, because it's only week 1, not week 12, not week 11. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think people are going to get on Arch because of how he played. You do realize he's going to have all this year. He's going to come back for 26 because, let's just be honest, he's not ready to go into the NFL draft. He's just not. We can have all these mock drafts and say, oh, Arch Manning could be a potential number 1 pick. He's all that. That's BS. Mock drafts will change in a few weeks from now, and they'll have another random number 1 overall. But Jackson, I kind of did want to address Alabama for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
You better have a come to Jesus meeting whenever it comes to that freaking defensive leadership room.
Yeah.
Kane Womack, your freaking defense looks as soft as Charmin Ultra Soft.
Oh yeah.
It's bad. Your front four got dominated from start to finish. Your offensive line, supposed to be a Joe Moore award-winning offensive line. Don't care that Jaden Roberts didn't play in the game. You got your ass whipped, start to finish.
Yeah. I mean, it was like the play that where there was like a late hit play on Castellanos where, his toes were out of bounds. He got pushed out. It was like we had an opportunity to sack him, but we didn't. That was a missed opportunity right there.
Yeah, I mean, just you're right now at this point in time, you are an undisciplined program. You are soft. You are undisciplined. You're not mentally tough. We have Domani Jackson. You're about to get off the field. It's a 1-possession game. You just got a sack. You got starting to get some momentum back, and we want to stand over this court, Tommy Castellanos, and we want to talk our shit to him. Excuse my language for those of my church friends that are out there, but I get frustrated at times like this. But that's the undisciplined BS that you saw. You saw what happened last year in the Vanderbilt game, the Michigan game, the undisciplined garbage that we have seen. And I hate to say it, it's almost like the inmates are running the asylum now. We have Ryan Williams coming out with a freaking anxiety.
Yeah, it was
or something.
I'm down for a little bit at one point. I was like, not good. That was not good. But
I was shocked when I saw that. I'm like, bro, you are supposed to be your superstar receiver. You're supposed to be this phenom. Where were you all night? You didn't do anything.
Yeah, because like some people are panicking, but again, it's week 1, not week 12. But still, though, if we're playing like this again next week or the week after next, it's time for panic time.
I'm worried about how you can shut down a freaking mobile quarterback. That's my question. Last year, Jackson Arnold, you struggled to contain him. He runs for over 120 yards. We talk about who else was a mobile quarterback last year. Really just the run game. Dylan Sampson, you couldn't shut down the run last year. You were as anemic as a schoolgirl trying to make homecoming. That's how bad you were on defense. I think Jackson's taking a break real fast. But while we do have that moment, just a couple more plays from here. Garrett Nussmeier to Aaron Anderson for 39. Caden Durham, you finally get back in the red zone. Throw to Kyle Parker on the slant. And then Caden Durham finally gets into the end zone. You score it, and boom. You get yourself in a much better situation. Guys, that was massive for you. Absolutely massive. You needed a big play like that. And you needed a drive like that. In reality, guys, once you get things cleaned up, if you're LSU, guys, you should beat Clemson 27-10. You left 10 points on the board. Let's just be real with you. You would get an interception. You would throw a pass to Barry and Brown on 2nd and 11. Boom. Looks like it's a touchdown. Should have been called a touchdown. But the referees were so bad in this game. Really, really bad for now. And you know what happened? You freaking ran. They say that Barry and Brown was out of bounds. They say that, he didn't maintain control throughout the entirety of the game. That's BS. That's BS. He maintained control going to the ground. He crosses the pylon. He catches the football inbounds. That's a catch and a touchdown. Everything else doesn't matter. And it ends up leading to a Damian Ramos missed field goal. But fourth quarter, you get the drive right after this happens. Caden Durham for 8, Caden Durham for 3. You finally get the passing game involved, and you finally start to make some moves. You throw to Aaron Anderson. You go for 13. TJ Parker tacks on 15 more because you have a roughing the passer, which was a cheap shot, by the way. You're all the way near the red zone. You throw to Trades Green for 9. Garrett Nussmeier goes under center. They ran that little mock quarterback sneak twice, and it worked like a freaking charm. Boom, touchdown. And then Garrett Nussmeier throws a fade route into the back of the into the corner of the end zone. Trades Green comes down with it. You force a turnover on downs. You force 2 turnover on downs, by the way. The first one, massive. They get into it's bending but not breaking if you're LSU. Try to go to TJ Moore on the slant. Boom, LSU gets a big stop. But they only move the football about 7 plays, and then you get a punt. You force another 3 and out. They force the punt. LSU can't run out the clock. They got a punt. This is where LSU's defense came to play. Looked kind of scary for a minute. First 2 plays, K. Klubnik to TJ Moore and to Tyler Brown. Get you to the LSU 21 already. Christian Beneker to the 3. You're in the red zone. Throw to Adam Randall. 3rd and 4. Big breakup by across the middle. Boom, Bryant Resco. And then the final play, Harold Perkins coming on a backer blitz. Puts the pressure on Klubnik, forces a throwaway, and LSU gets away with a massive victory on the road in Death Valley, South Carolina. Can't ask for anything better than that, man. What a start. We are excited for this SEC season. Guys, college football is back. We are so freaking lit. We are so excited for this season. Make sure you guys do us a favor. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Turn on that bell notification down below. Make sure that you leave us a comment, leave us a super chats, whatever it is, guys. Thank you so much for continuing to support us here at SEC Live, the voice of college football. I'll be on tomorrow. We will be back next Saturday recapping everything that went down around the SEC. Guys, Week 1 was awesome. Week 1 was super freaking lit. And guys, we are so freaking stoked for what's going to happen in college football, man. We're going to have a blast. It is going to be so much fun seeing what we got in store for you guys. No real big matchups next week. You could say that Kentucky, Kansas, Missouri, border war, gonna be fun, man. Michigan, Oklahoma, Saturday night game, gonna be a lot of fun. Vandy, Virginia Tech, lot of fun, guys. So, not the best slate coming off of what we had today compared to next week, but anything is possible in college football. Y'all hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Thank you guys for tuning in. Y'all have a great night, and we will see you all here very, very soon. And as Jackson says, tell your friends, family, and the cashiers at Public about the magic I bring on the South Carolina channel and here on SEC at the Voice of College Football. Y'all stay blessed. Y'all don't stress. Y'all have a great rest of the night.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.